What's up, everyone? Welcome into Fantasy Football Office Hours, brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined, as always, by my co-host, Professor Joey Wright. How's it going, Joey?
Going good. On the last show, I gave a 95% chance that JayWall would dance, and he, out the gate, already dancing. Simon believed in you more than I did, JayWall. He gave you 99%. You have made us both happy today, and both a lot of money.
I also said 95% chance your shirt comes off at some point. So we'll see if that happens. Guys, joining us today for Office Hours, another member of the Front Yard fam. We've got JayWall, a.k.a. JayWall_FF, joining the show today. What's up, JayWall?
What's up, guys? Hey, happy to be here. It's been too long since I've live streamed, so happy to be back in my element.
And guys, you may have seen some of JayWall's work recently. The hits like Brock Purdy has massive balls or Jeff Driscoll has a dump truck. Some of his finest work out there. So if you haven't seen them, go and check out all of our shorts and pre-recorded content there on our YouTube. JayWall is the wizard behind editing all of those videos, getting those stories told, and getting the big balls Brock Purdy story in front of everybody's eyes. For those of you who have not joined us for Office Hours before, we're here answering all of your questions for Week 16. Any Week 16 fantasy football questions you've got, throw them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. And going into Week 16, we have some pretty nasty weather games. Joey, you and I were talking about it beforehand. I believe you had an update for us, just the general update on all the crazy weather we have going on this weekend.
Yeah, so every week I do rankings. I rank probably 110 wide receivers, 80 running backs, 45 tight ends, somewhere in there, and then all the quarterbacks. I rank them every week. I have never had more difficulty ranking players than I did this week, and I was very frustrated. And last night I kind of seeked out, listened to like a meteorologist podcast, and I found Kevin Roth. He was on the Fantasy Football Today podcast, and he's a meteorologist that focuses solely on fantasy sports. And I'm going to put in our Discord, I'm going to put the link afterwards so you can go listen to the show, because it really did put me at somewhat of ease to maybe understand it a little better. So I highly encourage everyone, go listen to that podcast episode. His segment is maybe 20 minutes long, and it's 20 minutes of gold. So go check it out. I'll put the link in our Discord after the show. But the cliff notes on it, to give it to you real quick. He basically put the 8 games that we have a lot of weather concerns into 3 different tiers. There's the good to go tier, which is like, don't really fade your players too much in these. The weather's going to be cold. There'll be some wind, but it's manageable. And that's Houston at Tennessee, Seattle at Kansas City, Atlanta at Baltimore, Cincinnati at New England, and Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. So any of those 5 games, if you've got players in them, starter sit them like you normally would. So don't really make any changes with those. And that's what Kevin Roth, meteorologist, was recommending. The second tier is to downgrade your pass catchers. And one of those games is tonight with Jacksonville and the Jets. So you're looking at your Zay Jones, who might be getting Sauce Gardner, so you might have already been sitting him. Christian Kirk. Don't necessarily sit them, but maybe downgrade them. Temper your expectations where they were before. And all those Jets receivers like with Garrett Wilson. And then not just the pass catchers, the quarterbacks in those games too. So Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. The downgrade pass catcher as well for Buffalo and Chicago. What's nice about Buffalo and Chicago is Allen and Justin Fields can both still run. So necessarily don't maybe downgrade those quarterbacks. But the wide receivers, maybe just like Stephon Diggs, instead of like a top 5 wide receiver, might be like top 10 this week. So, downgrade them a little bit, but not too much. And there was a third tier that Kevin talked about. It's called the no-fly zone. And that's the New Orleans Cleveland Browns game. Pretty much sit any pass catcher if you are able to, because there are, last I checked, 63 mile per hour wind gusts possible in this game. 35 mile an hour sustained winds. So your kickers, sit those kickers, no matter who they are. Amari Cooper, you probably want to sit him. We got a little favor with Chris Olave getting declared out today. So you definitely don't want to play Olave or Landry. That was kind of the update from Kevin on the weather. I really tried to take all that into account when I did my rankings this week. So I just wanted to kind of say a little something about that real quick. And I went probably way too long.
We might get the speed record broken depending on the way that that wind is blowing. Get the wind behind Nick Chubb, 63 mile per hour gust as he's sprinting 80 yards down the field. Man, that dude's going to fly. I feel like that's fast enough you could jump and it would carry you 8 yards. Like you could just jump in the air, and if the gust catches you the right way. Guys, we have some people in here ready for office hours. Justin in here saying, what's up? And Mr. Scampers with the hello, howdy, hi. We got Calvin here saying, what's up? Getting cold here in San Antonio. I left San Antonio, but I'm coming back. Warm it up for me before I get back. I don't want that cold weather down there. And JL here said, JayWall, my dude. DJ in the chat. What's up, DJ? Mr. Scammers with the high JayWall. And Fantasy Football Hustle saying, I only trust guys in Eagles gear. So
you get it.
You're going to be responsible for all of Fantasy Football Hustle's questions today.
Perfect.
You good with that? Guys, we're going to jump into these questions. If you have fantasy football questions for us, throw them in the chat. We're going to get to each and every one of them. We're going to start off with Lucius in here with the super chat. Lucius, thank you so much, my friend. He said, scrambling at QB, Dak or Rodgers, T-Law or Cousins? I'm guessing this is two different leagues. JayWall, if you're picking between Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers, which one are you starting this week?
Oh, this is tough. I'm probably going Rodgers based on his matchup against Miami because I had to make a decision between Rodgers and some other guys. And I've also I've kind of been looking at Dak and whatnot and where he's been ranking. And he's got a tougher matchup this week. Obviously, he's playing the best team in the league. But Aaron Rodgers and that Dolphins team, that Dolphins defense has just given up a ton of points. Then T.L.R. Cousins, I think you could really go either way. Joey, you talked about the weather being a factor in this game tonight, right?
Yeah, but with Trevor Lawrence, it was more of a not necessarily bench him, but just kind of downgrade him to where you had him. So instead of like maybe a second tier quarterback, maybe he moves to that third tier.
So would you take
the icy
T-Law
rain's the problem with T-Law tonight?
Okay.
I have Cousins higher by quite a bit. So I would probably slide Cousins here. I like where you went with Rodgers.
That way, so
yeah,
it definitely helps. Makes me feel better about my answer.
Joey, are you leaning the same here? Are you leaning Rodgers and Cousins?
Definitely Cousins. Now, I love that JayWall said Aaron Rodgers. I'm very, very bullish on Aaron Rodgers this week. I have him as my QB3. Vegas is expecting a lot of points in this game, combined with the weather concerns and that there's going to be 50 degrees. Aaron Rodgers can play in 50 degrees, I'm pretty sure, in Miami. He's not been good on the road, but that Miami defense has been really bad against the pass this year. Aaron Rodgers for me, slam dunk. T-Law and Cousins is a little closer, but I'm still going to go Cousins.
It's going to be agreement all around here.
Nice.
Both of these games have high over-unders, the Dallas-Philly game and the Green Bay-Miami game. Green Bay-Miami one is just a little bit higher, sitting there at 50.5. So they expect a lot of points to be scored, a shootout here, and I'm going to take Rodgers in that shootout. The Miami secondary is nothing to be scared of. And then it's going to be Cousins. Those guys are close, but the weather will be the tiebreaker for me. So I'm going to throw them in there. Justin in here said, I need 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. The players we're looking at are Juju Smith-Schuster, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Michael Pittman Jr., Isaiah Pacheco, A.J. Dillon, Rashad White, and Zach Moss. You got a lot of players there. We got to pick 2 in a flex. Joey, what are you doing here if you are Justin?
I'm going to go Juju and Pittman, and then it's really, really tight between, honestly, Pacheco, Dillon, and Rashad White. I'm assuming that's Rashad White, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming as well.
Man, I'm going to go Pacheco. I've got Rashad White 2 spots behind him, and then Dillon's a little bit further down. But they're all kind of in a tier together. But even though there was that fumble last week, Pacheco, that matchup for Kansas City this week, Seattle has the second worst. They give it the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. So it's going to be Pacheco for me.
Pacheco so we need 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So
yeah,
Pacheco would be your flex. Who are your wide receivers?
Juju and Pittman.
Juju and Pittman. JayWall, are you agreeing with Joey here? Or are you going with a different set of 3?
So Juju and Pittman, I am with him on that one for the wide receivers. Flex, I'm going to go Rashad White. Just because with Pacheco, I feel like there's more volatility there with McKinnon having so much work recently. So with that, I'm personally going to lean Rashad White here.
Man, it is close between those. I'm agreeing on the wide receivers. It's going to be Juju and Pittman here. I'm nervous about Pacheco with what we've seen from Jerick McKinnon, but I think I'm still rolling Pacheco here. The matchup is so juicy that it's pulling me that way. JayWall, all the reasons you're saying though is why I'm nervous sitting here. I've had to make this decision in a league already today, Pacheco versus White, and I'm probably going to switch it back and forth 3 more times. And I'm just thinking I'll land on Pacheco. That's where I'm going to end up landing.
Arizona's been awful against running backs the last few weeks. I don't mind Rashad White this week at all. I love JayWall's pick. And honestly, as a Bucs fan, I hope JayWall's right. I really do. I hope Rashad White has the week.
have just been terrible in general. So
Well, this is true. This is true. Just run away from JJ Watt and you'll be fine.
Yeah, literally.
Calvin in here had a question for us. Said take two non-PPR, so standard. Travis Etienne, Zay Jones, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, and Cam Akers. JayWall, which two of those stand out to you? Which ones would you be starting in a standard league?
This is pretty tough. But I'm going to go with ETN for sure. And then I'm probably going to go Zay Jones. I'm the world's biggest Swift truther, but I don't trust him in the playoffs. I'm starting him in one of my leagues, and I have zero confidence in that. To be fair, it is a 20-man league, so I have a little more wiggle room there. But I would go ETN and Zay Jones.
I'm agreeing with you on the ETN, but I do think Pacheco's still going to be my next guy here. I'm nervous about the weather plus the sauce. It's the weather plus the sauce potentially covering him. DJ Chark did nothing on the outside last week. So Zay Jones maybe can get some going in this game today, but I'm going to stay away. What about you, Joey? It is hard after his big game last week, though, to move away from Zay Jones.
The hardest thing is sitting Zay Jones. It really is. I'm between these options. I will. I want to see Swift come on. I really do. But it's Pacheco and then easily ETN tonight. I think it's gonna be a run heavy game tonight. Donovan Knight and ETN are both gonna be great tonight.
Damon here. What's up, Dame? Said, help your girl out. Need 1.5 PPR. Zonovan, Bam, Knight, David Montgomery, or Michael Pittman. Joey, we'll throw this one to you first. Which of those three would you be starting?
Bam how far we've come this season. Bam is my surefire first one I'm going to pick. Oh, I just need one? Yeah, it's Bam. Because with Monty, Khalil Herbert's coming back this week. They said today he's going to be back on the field this week. So, okay, looks like Monty might be sharing now. So that leads me towards Bam. And then with Pittman, Nick Foles did win the Eagles a Super Bowl, but I'm not sure if we're going to get this. I know we're not going to get the same Nick Foles now. So I'm a little worried about Pittman in that aspect. I would just go Bam.
I'm rolling David Montgomery out there. I understand Khalil Herbert's coming back, but whenever Khalil Herbert was the starter while David Montgomery was injured, he killed it. Games over 100 rushing yards, full workload. It looked like we were going to have a 1A, 1B scenario. And it was pretty much Monty's backfield, even when Herbert came back. Herbert gets his touches. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get touches if he's healthy and active. But especially in a game where I don't expect him to throw the ball very much because of the weather, I know it's a tough matchup. I'm still going to take the lead back for the Bears and David Montgomery. I get moving away from that, though. JayWall, what about you? Which way are you rolling here?
I'm with you. I'm taking Monty here. And yes, Khalil Herbert is coming back, but they're not going to get – first off, they're not really fighting for anything, in my opinion. And, when it comes to Herbert, I don't think they're going to give him the workload, even the backup workload that they were previously quite yet. They're probably just going to ease him in. So I do think Monty is going to get still that 3-down work, really, even though Herbert will get gradually brought in.
It's a great point, JayWall, because Monty is on the last year of his contract here in Chicago, and Herbert is looking like the back of the future for them. So if he's hurt, Monty not going to play there next year, not expected to. They could just run the wheels off that bus or whatever the hell that phrase is. Ride that bus till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, ride it till the wheels fall off. Yeah.
Run the wheels off that bus. The common phrase we all know. DJ in here said a lot of people told me different, and I haven't decided yet. Need to pick two in full PPR. David Montgomery, DeAndre Hopkins, and ETN. And he's saying personally lean in both running backs due to favorable bad weather and McSorley starting in Arizona. But I get it. It is hard to bench DeAndre Hopkins. JayWall, which of those three are you benching? You got to bench one. David Montgomery, DeAndre Hopkins, or Travis Etienne?
I'm not benching Hopkins. Even with Trace McSorley, and he's a third-string quarterback. He's not good. But DeAndre Hopkins will always get a crazy workload, a crazy target share. And I don't think that's going to change. If anything, I think McSorley is just going to be Hopkins is down there somewhere. So I think that Hop will still put up really solid numbers. And then I'm also rolling with ETN because he's my number one guy out of these. But between Monty and Hop, I'm going Nuke.
You're going to bench Monty. What about you, Joey? Who are you benching?
Full agreement. Hopkins and ETN.
Man, I think I'm benching Hopkins. I'm really scared of Trace McSorley. I'm really scared of Trace McSorley. I'm going to bench DeAndre Hopkins here. I know, Clemson guy, benching D-Hop. It's unheard of here, but that's what's going on. Fake fan. Also, Joey, we had a request from Jalen here. He asked if you could say meteorologist again.
I try so hard. I'd like to see you spell again, JL.
Yeah, JL. Sorry, could you say meteorologist again, Joey?
Meteorologist.
Nailed it.
That's just for you, JL.
Guys, here's your next question in here. Malachi wanted to know, do you guys trust Dak
great name.
Prescott against the Eagles, or should I hit the block and see what's out there? I think Minshew is on there. If Minshew's the tier we're looking at, I'm rolling Dak Prescott out. He's still a top 10 quarterback for me this week, even in the tough matchup against the Eagles. You'd have to have like a Kirk Cousins sitting out there on the waiver wire for me to even think about it, and I'm probably still going Dak. What about you, JayWall? You're a little lower on Dak, I think.
I am, and I think from what I see from Joey's face, him and I are probably on the same boat. But I'm rolling out with Gardner Minshew, and I know I'm wearing my Eagles hat, and it probably looks crazy. But the reports out of Eagles practices have been – I remember it wasn't today, but yesterday's practice, I think it was Dallas Goedert who was like, I don't think the ball touched the ground once, and his best pass came from a pressure, and so he was getting rushed by that incredible defensive line, and he was still able to find, I can't remember exactly who it was, but on an absolute dime, according to Dallas Goedert. And there were a bunch of other guys on the team who were just talking about Minshew and just how great of a practice he had a couple of days ago. And Dak, yes, he can have really, really big games, but I just feel like they're so few far between. And I think Gardner Minshew really can come up there and shock people, kind of like Brock Purdy has, just fantasy points wise. And so I think Minshew is kind of in the same boat because he also has a shit ton of weapons that he can get the ball to.
He does. Going Minshew. What about you, Joe? Are you agreeing with JayWall here? You look like you want to.
I know I am going to agree with JayWall. And let me tell you why. JayWall hit all the stat points, and that's absolutely correct. But also, I mean, Minshew, when we've seen him on the field, he's been a low-end QB1. So I do believe in the talent with Minshew, but there's something else with Minshew this week. He's playing for Mike Leach this week. And I love a narrative. And I think Minshew's going to come out and ball out against Dallas. And I would honestly play for a job next year. I don't think the Eagles will let him go, but let's put it out there, Minshew. And God, Gardner Minshew is so much fun to watch play.
He is. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong here. I hope he outscores Dak Prescott.
It's risky. It's definitely the upside play. Dak is the safe play, if you ask me. This Eagles defense is incredible, but I would go Minshew.
One more question here from Malachi. Malachi wanted to know, start three: Keenan Allen, Marquise Goodwin, Amari Cooper, Gabriel Davis, Michael Pittman Jr., and Deontay Johnson. Joey, which three of those would you be starting?
Okay, so I am going to go Keenan Allen. I'm going to bench Amari Cooper. I'm going to bench Gabriel Davis. High wins in both these games, and I don't want any Cleveland Browns receivers at all. And Gabriel Davis is a long field threat, so I don't necessarily like him. I'm going to go Pittman, and I'm going to go Marquise Goodwin. I'm starting Marquise Goodwin in a lot of leagues this week. No Tyler Lockett, and he was looking good when Tyler Lockett was in these games. So you would think that he'll target share will go up a little bit. I like Goodwin in a game that they're going to have to pass against Kansas City because Kansas City is good at football.
Where are you rolling, JayWall?
You make some really good points with Marquise Goodwin. I'm just not sure.
It's hard to trust.
But
it's so especially in the fantasy playoffs. But if you are looking for that upside, I would go Goodwin over who I personally think is the safer option in Deontay Johnson. But I'd go Keenan Allen, Pittman, and then Deontay.
And I've been slowly talked into Marquise Goodwin this week. I was out, and then slowly as I look more into it, I hear more people I trust talking about it. I'm in. It's going to be Keenan Allen, Marquise Goodwin, and Michael Pittman Jr. for me. Deontay Johnson, I agree with you, JayWall, is the safer play right there.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth Coates-Wallace in
Hey.
here. What's up, Liz? She's asking for an FYF holiday album like the Eagles. And you know what? That was just the amount that we needed to make that happen. $1.99 should cover the studio costs. We got you, Liz. Expect one in your inbox. It's going to come directly to you. I'll record you at least one holiday song.
I enjoyed all your TikTok dance videos from your trip to Bali.
Yep, our trip to Bali.
JayWall keeps me young. I'm not good up on the old TikTok. JayWall sends me TikToks and he's like, Joey, watch this. And so he keeps me young.
I love it.
Joey, what is the name of the first song on the FYF holiday album?
Pooping in the snow.
Pooping in the snow.
But it's pooping and then in parentheses in the snow.
And then the second track is Last Christmas in parentheses, I Gave You My Fart.
Yeah.
Is going to be the next song on that album.
Or Jingle Balls,
Jingle Balls. And that one's about in honor of Brock Purdy. It'll be Jingle Balls and then in parentheses, Brock Purdy. We had a question here from
No. Taco Bells, like Jingle Bells, but Taco Bells. Taco Bells, because we love Taco Bell. All right, that wasn't good.
Simon Shandy fans. J Money here wants to know, is ETN a start or sit tonight? He's a start. I'm rolling him out there. Yep. You guys agree?
100%.
Parker in here.
RB2. Yep.
Parker had a question for us, Mark Andrews or Ingram this week, and that is a real question that we ask ourselves this year. JayWall, you rolling Mark Andrews out there, who's been pretty disappointing, or Evan Ingram, who's been hot recently but playing in a bad weather game tonight?
100%. I was listening to someone earlier as they were giving their tight end rankings, and they were like, after Travis Kelce, who's in a tier like 2 tiers above the next person, at that point you just kind of throw up your hands and you're just like, I don't know for tight end. So I'm just going to go up the upside of Mark Andrews here, even though Ingram has been a dog. I have to admit that.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gotten a little bit of fool's gold with Mark Andrews and Tyler Huntley, because last year they were gold together. So I think that's going to happen this week. Atlanta gives up the 6th most fantasy points to tight ends. Give me Mark Andrews here. Evan Ingram, it's a pass catcher tonight in a game. There's going to be a lot of freezing rain. It's going to be hard to catch those balls. So, yeah, Mark Ingram for me.
I'm going to go Mark Andrews as well here. It's going to be a triple Mark Andrews. It hurts to bench Evan Ingram right now, but you got to roll Mark Andrews out in the plus matchup. You got to do it. Parker, one more question for us. Pick 2, Dobbins, Stevenson, and Pollard. So we need to bench one of these 3 players. That is a tough question. Joey, I'm going to throw this one to you first. Who are you benching?
Parker, I absolutely love your situation you're in, because I feel like you're going to have 2 great players no matter what. I do not want to sit J.K. Dobbins. However, I'm sitting J.K. Dobbins. Stevenson and Pollard, 2 of the best running backs in the league this year. Pollard's star is only growing by the week. But man, Dobbins, I hope that can you put Dobbins on a flex? I would like to know if you can, because if you can, I want to start all 3 of these guys.
I'm with you. And JayWall, you can probably confirm this as an Eagles fan, but if you're going to beat the Eagles defense, it's on the ground. That's how you can beat that Eagles defense. You're not beating them through the air. They've got shut down corners out there. We saw Washington do it successfully. Not many other teams get the job done, but find some success on the ground. So I know the matchup looks bad. You see the Eagles defense and you're scared, but Pollard is in a better position than some of those receivers out there for Dallas. So I'm with you, Joey. It's going to be Dobbins on the bench. Stevenson and Pollard starting for me. What about you, JayWall?
I might go a different direction, and it pains me because I have Pollard in so many leagues, so I really hope I'm wrong. But this second half of the year, the Eagles really have just hunkered down on like stopping the run game, because we just got demolished the first half. And so we went out, got some guys who we've been able to rotate in so that
pretty good guys too.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of old retired dudes who still got it a little bit, but they keep them fresh, and it's really shown that they've done a lot better job. And and then man, Dobbins plays the Falcons, and the Falcons run defense is atrocious. It's so tough. I think I'm gonna bench Pollard begrudgingly.
I don't blame you, and I don't want to bench Dobbins.
Yeah,
but Stevenson, I think we all agree that Stevenson's a lock here.
Oh, he's the slam dunk start. He's the number 1 star for me out of this 3.
Yeah, but there's even a narrative of sitting Stevenson, because Cincinnati's run defense is not bad at all this year. But like I said, there's a narrative. I'm not saying you should follow that.
Yeah, I wouldn't, just because I think Stevenson really has shown to be like that new age Alvin Kamara. So
yeah,
he can just do it all.
New age Alvin Kamara. I like it. Damon here said, in a PPR league, I currently have Chig Okonkwo, but Malik scares me big time. Yeah, me too. Didn't he have a game with like 11 passing yards or something preposterous like that?
Is 195 passing yards through 2 games.
Yikes.
Yeah.
The waiver options are Bellinger or Higbee over Okonkwo. What say you lovely humans? I say get Bellinger in there. Both his eyes are back in his head. He's got a plus matchup this week. So he's got both his eyes. He's got a plus matchup. And not only is Malik starting at quarterback, but Treylon Burks is back on this field as well for the Tennessee Titans, which takes away a lot of that opportunity for Chig. So I don't think Bellinger's a bad start this week. I'd be comfortable rolling him out there. And of those three options, he's the one I want in the most. JayWall, what do you think here?
I'm going to go Higbee, just because that first week, that first week we saw Baker, like he just did not target Higbee at all. But this past week, I feel like all he did was just little dump downs, and it didn't turn out to a ton of fantasy production by any means. But I think Higbee is probably the best, and the Broncos do have like a shutdown defense, and so I do think that they will look more so to just dump it to Higbee versus throwing it to those wide receivers who will be covered by guys like Patrick Surtain. So that's just kind of my take, but really, I think all these guys are in a pretty similar tier.
Yeah, it's rough sledding picking between these three. Joey, you're gonna make it the least helpful answer ever by picking Chigakonkwo, or are you going to agree with one of us here?
I'm going to actually agree with JayWall. I like Higbee. There's one position Denver's not good against this year, and it's the tight end. They give up the 13th most points to tight ends. Teams have checked down against Denver and found success. I expect that's what Baker will do because I think that's about all Baker can do in this game. So yeah, Higbee.
We had some Christmas song suggestions in here. JL saying Scott Fishy Christmas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to do that one. Dame said the Yellow Snowman. Mm-hmm. And Dame letting us know she's pre-ordering that faux show. We'll get the pre-order up on our site, guys. We'll get the pre-order up.
Let's do it.
Liz gets the first copy, though. Brandon in here said PPR, Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson, or Pittman. And Liz, that's whether you want it or not, you get the first copy.
I will just play it nonstop.
JayWall,
she'll be in a meeting and I'll still play it.
Just that you hear in the background, jingle bells, Simon smells, JayWall peed his pants.
All things that actually happened and
happen all the time
in Canton. Just kidding. Brandon wants to know Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson, or Michael Pittman. Which one of these three would you be rolling in PPR, JayWall?
Garrett Wilson by a mile.
By a mile? What about you, Joey?
Yeah.
By a mile?
Close for me.
This is really tough. I don't like.
It's not tough.
I'm gonna go Pittman. The freezing rain scares me a little bit with Garrett Wilson. Him and Zach Wilson have looked good together. Oh man. Actually, no, I have Garrett Wilson ranked higher. Yeah, I'll go Garrett Wilson. I'll side with JayWall. You swayed me.
I was gonna say, you know what? Some freezing rain. Nick Foles throwing the ball to Michael Pittman. That's the equivalent of freezing rain. So I'm going to take Garrett Wilson as well here. We got the triple
were far
agree.
enough apart that I pivoted live on air.
DJ has a tight end question. Said, are you nervous about Ingram tonight with the weather? I've got Dulcich and I see Taysom Hill on waivers. DJ, I will not tell you to start Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill has the highest upside out of any of these three players. I just don't I don't play the Taysom Hill game. I have a hard time predicting when it's going to happen. I seem to be wrong every time I do it. And if he doesn't get in the end zone, you're probably going to be very disappointed. You'll probably have a game of like 4 carries for 19 yards and 1 catch for 6. And then you're just disappointed. But if he finds that end zone, or if he finds it multiple times, he's the most likely to have a blow up game out of these three. I'm probably just rolling Ingram out there. I'm probably just rolling Ingram out there. What are you doing, JayWall?
I am also rolling Ingram out there, but I'm going to give us a scenario, okay? I'm going to give you a reason to think maybe Taysom Hill, because Jarvis Landry is just put on IR. Chris Olave just ruled out. Taysom Hill, he's got that dog in him. He's going to line up.
Some kind of dog in him.
He's going to line up as the outside wide receiver. He's going to go for 3 touchdowns. Maybe
Yikes.
not all catching, but
yeah. With the wind, I mean, maybe that helps Andy Dalton get the ball downfield to him if the gusts are going the right direction. Joey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to say that's what I was just about to say. I have Dulcich ranked lowest of these 3 options, and I have Taysom Hill 1 spot above Ingram because I think to win this game, New Orleans going to have to get a little tricky. And there's a way to get tricky, and that's with Taysom Hill. I don't like the number of snaps he's going to get, but, he's taking a ball 60 yards down the field this year. I'm a little worried about the weather in New York tonight. So we've got the option of possibly having Taysom Hill. If you don't have to drop Evan Ingram to bring on Taysom Hill, I would make that move and start Taysom Hill.
Jackie in here wanted to know, roll with Ingram, Mark Andrews, or Goddard this week. Joey, which one of these tight ends are you rolling with?
It's Mark Andrews for me.
Yeah, it's going to be Mark Andrews for me as well. What about you, JayWall?
All right. It's also going to be Mark Andrews for me.
Triple Mark Andrews. Scampers in here. Meow. Wants to know
Meow.
half PPR. Which two do you like? Christian Kirk tonight. AJ Dillon at Miami. Latavius Murray at the Rams. Singletary at Chicago, or Thielen versus the New York Jets. JayWall, I'll throw this one to you first. Which two do you like best tonight? Or which two do you like best for this week in half PPR?
I feel like you have to go Kirk and Latavius Murray. Those are the two that I'm rolling with.
Those are the two you're rolling with. What about you, Joey? Are you agreeing with JayWall here?
I'm going to go Latavius Murray for sure. And yeah, I'll put Christian Kirk in and just hope Christian Kirk doesn't get the sauce, which I do think Zay Jones is going to get the sauce most of the night. So yeah, Kirk and Murray. That wasn't hard. I thought it was going to be harder when I was looking at it. That's what
any temptation for Adam Thielen and the potential shootout there between the New York Giants and the Minnesota Vikings. It's got an over under 47.5. The line set at 3.5 points. They expect it to be a close game. This feels like an Adam Thielen game for me.
Is this the Vikings' last home game?
I am not sure if this is the Vikings' last home game.
If
Joey.
this is their last home game of the season, I like Thielen.
Narrative Street
Thielen up because I'm not sure Thielen comes back next year.
Let's see. I'm checking. Yeah, this is their last home game of the season. They're on the road against the Packers and the Bears after this.
I'm not going to change my answer for this question, but I'm a little more excited about Thielen now.
I'm going to change my answer for this question. It's Latavius Murray and Adam Thielen. I'm putting Adam Thielen in there. Last home game. I like the game. I like the matchup against Minnesota or against the New York Giants. And I like the general game script, a potential shootout here.
Thielen was the other one that stuck out to me. And I was like, should I go Thielen? Should I go Thielen? I was like, no, I'll go Kirk and Murray. So I do like that call.
Nick's son here said full PPR, Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, or Nick Foles. JayWall, which one of these quarterbacks are you rolling with?
Just leave your spot blank. I think all these guys get negative points. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, I think Zach Wilson might have the most upside, but Kenny Pickett. What's the weather looking like for the Pickett game?
The Pickett game and the Jets game is pretty much the same type of concern with the weather. It's going to be a little more windy, but Kenny Pickett's played in that type of weather because he's played at Pittsburgh, and he's played in cold games before. So he's got that experience in this type of weather.
Utah also gets cold because I live here. So I'm going to roll with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Nick Foles against that Chargers defense. All of these are gross. I'm going matchup here. I'll just take Nick Foles. Kenny Pickett I don't know if he's ever thrown a touchdown in his entire life based on what I've seen this season. And Zach Wilson has been brutal when we've seen him on the field. So like Nick Foles, I know can throw a touchdown. Kenny Pickett, I'm not convinced at this point that he even knows which part of the field is the end zone. Eric in here says PPR, Amari Cooper is hard to sit, but this weather is scary. Would you stoop as low as sitting him for Paris Campbell, Curtis Samuel, or Russell Gage? So Joey, you mentioned that this is your no-fly zone. If you can avoid it, you are trying not to start any of those players. So would you start one of the three listed over Amari Cooper?
Yep.
Which one?
All three of them. I am not starting Amari Cooper this week. I am completely out on him. If there's 63-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and honestly, Deshaun Watson, he's been targeting him, but Cooper hasn't been catching the balls. He's been great at home this year. I'll have a lot of egg on my face if Cooper has a great game. But I would sit him. I would probably, with the questionable nature of Julio Jones against Arizona, I might start Russell Gage.
That's where I was leaning as
well. It's bold, but I don't want Cooper.
I have trouble benching Cooper. It is tough, Eric. And it would feel like, especially in the playoff semifinals, it would that's what I'm looking at here. Like, how would I feel if I started Gage over Cooper and then Cooper goes off on my bench? But I don't expect him to go off. And we've seen Gage do it in the absence of other receivers in this offense. If I am making that move, Joey, I'm with you that it's Gage, but I'm going to have to think long and hard about making that move to bench Cooper for one of these guys. JayWall, what are you doing here?
I can't sit Cooper for these guys. I really tried. I was like, Curtis Samuel, no. Paris Campbell, definitely not.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can't bench Cooper.
Tim wants to know, Scott Fishbowl, Purdy or risk Lamar? So I believe we're still waiting on news whether or not Lamar Jackson's going to play on Saturday. JayWall, what are you doing here?
I know because I picked up Purdy and Scott Fishbowl too, and he's questionable, I think, with his oblique. So I think they're both kind of questionable. But I mean, it's Scott Fishbowl. I think it's the top 30 make it. So I'm going with Lamar. I'm just going to risk it.
Top 50. You and I are still there, Jay, while
Top
someone
50?
else on the show's
Yeah.
That was rude. I'm sorry, Simon. I love you.
No, it's my own fault. So two weeks in a row in
So
Scott
rude.
Fishbowl. 2 weeks
So
in a row
rude.
in Scott Fishbowl. I benched the number one player at their position. I snuck through whenever I benched Evan Ingram the week he was the number one tight end for Cameron Dicker. And then last week, I benched Jerick McKinnon for Greg Dulcich, got cute and tight end premium at the last second, regretted it immediately, and I got knocked out by like a point in Scott Fishbowl.
Oof.
So brutal.
I want to apologize. That was very rude of me to say that. I finished second overall in Fantasy Pros of all analysts, and this is how I act. I mean, I'm better than this, and I can rise above it. I'm sorry, Simon.
Act like you've been there before.
How long did it take me to bring it up? 37 minutes? Okay. Just checking.
We got Damon in here, wants to know DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk need to start one. JayWall, who are you starting out of this bunch of wide receivers?
Higgins.
It's going to be Higgins for you. Joey, what about you?
Yep, Higgins.
Triple Higgins.
I do like DJ Moore this week.
I thought it was start two at first, and I was like, I don't know who else I'm going with. So happy it's just one.
What about this one? Are you going Gardner Minshew or Deshaun Watson? Because I'm going Gardner Minshew, avoiding that Cleveland weather game. And I don't know, Deshaun hasn't looked good even with good weather so far this year.
Buns.
Bad. You go Minshew as well, JayWall?
Oh, yeah.
Triple Minshew?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Ooh,
I'm excited.
Like a type of gum. Triple Minshew.
Triple shoe, baby.
Calvin wanted to know Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, or Derek Carr. Joey, which one of those three quarterbacks would you be starting?
Trevor Lawrence,
Daniel Jones, or Derek Carr?
It's going to be Daniel Jones for me. I get high points there against Minnesota. But why it's not Derek Carr? Derek Carr in the cold has been awful. Once it's below 30 degrees, I believe it's 1 touchdown in 6 games. It's not going to be Derek Carr. T-Law and D Jones is close, but if I don't have to deal with weather, I don't want to. So it's Daniel Jones.
And if I don't have to deal with Daniel Jones, I don't want to. So I think I'm going to roll T-Law out there. It is very close.
They're back to back in my rankings.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Joey. They're sitting right there, but I'm going to roll T-Law. What about you, JayWall?
Those two were also, but Daniel Jones was also the one that stuck out to me the most. I think the differential from T-Law to Daniel Jones is just knowing that this is a non-PPR league.
Non-PPR.
Excellent insight, JayWall. That was good. I like it.
Lucius want to know, how do you see Kirk doing this evening? Jets seem to be pushing me to think he's a fade. Joey, you've talked a little bit about this. How are you feeling about Christian Kirk tonight?
I like Kirk better than I like Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones is going to see Sauce Gardner. There's going to be the freezing rain's not supposed to arrive until the second half of the game. So Jacksonville could go up big, like 30 points early, and then you get all your points from Kirk and you don't need him in the second half. That's what I hope would happen. But if you're going to start a wide receiver in this game tonight, Christian Kirk's probably my favorite.
Also, AV coming in, remind us, Lamar is out. That is 100% right. I saw that out there. I saw people making their changes.
Yeah, NBC Sports Edge put it out earlier that he was out, and I cannot find the article anymore. I'm wondering if that was too early reported, but everything I've heard is going to be out this week.
Yeah, there were reports early that he might play on Christmas Eve, but it's not looking like that's the case. TT wanted to know PPR flex Slayton versus Minnesota or Zonovan Peoples Knight tonight. JayWall, you flexing Darius Slayton or are you going with Zonovan Knight?
I'm going Bam Knight, I think.
Bam Knight. This one is close. I like Slayton this week. I do not mind Slayton in that matchup against Minnesota. I think I rolled Slayton here. What are you doing, Joey?
It's my RB 27 versus my wide receiver 28. Man, this is the hardest question we've been asked tonight for me for some reason. Because two powerhouse players that we both drafted very highly in the last year's drafts. I'm going to go Darius Slayton here. I don't mind the Bam Knight play. But if you're chasing points, that again, I'll real cheap answer. Safe plays on of a night. If you need upside, go Darius Slayton.
AV in here said, I have Lamar. Do I go Goff, Brady, or Minshew? So of those three quarterbacks, Joey, where are you rolling?
They're all like bunched up. I'll go Brady. I'll go Brady here. I really like Minshew this week. I like Goff too. Like Goff against, but he's.
Aren't you a Bucks fan picking Brady? I don't know. Seems suspicious.
I always take that into account, like a grain of salt. Like, okay, am I just being too much of a homer?
Seems fishy.
I do the opposite with the Browns. Maybe they just scarred me, but I like downgrade every Browns player. This is the first year I didn't draft Amari Cooper heavily. It's because he's on my favorite team. JayWall, what are you doing here?
I'm also going Brady. He's playing the Cardinals. Cardinals have been bad. They give up a good amount of points. So I'm going Brady here.
And here's Tampa Bay can still win this division. Any team can still win this division, I think, with the South. Or wait, did the Falcons get eliminated? No, they can still win it too. Any team can win in this NFC South. I think this is a turnaround game for the Bucks. Gronk's going to be back there in 2 weeks, so let's go.
Yeah, and the reason I'm picking Brady here is because he's had over 600 pass attempts this year, and by the end of the season, he'll probably have over 700. And so, like, the volume is just going to be there, so that's why I lean that way.
I lean Goff. I just love what this Detroit Lions offense is doing, and I also love what this defense isn't doing. Though they've gotten better. This Detroit Lions defense is not what they were at the beginning of the season. They've had some young players stepping up, but I'll roll Jared Goff out there. Dame said, I'm in an RB pickle in my home league. Need one, half PPR. Rashad White, Leonard Fournette, Brian Robinson, or Cordero Patterson, and picked up Jalen Warren in case Najee misses. JayWall, which of these running backs would you start in half PPR? Rashad White, Leonard Fournette, Brian Robinson, or Cordero Patterson?
I don't want to pick. Gosh, this is tough.
This is a tough one. It's close between a bunch of these guys.
I'm probably going to go Fournette.
Fournette over Rashad White?
Maybe. I don't know. Talk me out of it.
Joey, what are you doing here?
I'm going Rashad White. I think they're going to save Fournette towards more of the playoffs. Let him rest up a little bit because he doesn't seem like he's completely healthy out there. I noticed in the Rams game, they were really starting to shift towards Rashad White, and Fournette got a little bit more work a couple weeks ago, but this feels like a Rashad White game, an easy game. They should win. God, if they don't win this game on Christmas night, it's going to ruin my Christmas. So yeah, it's going to be Rashad White for me. Brian Robinson, they've got San Francisco and incredible run defense. And Cordell Patterson, I think Tyler Algier might be their running back now. We've seen a shift there. So I think both are actually startable options though, Fournette and Rashad White. I think both of these running backs can work against Arizona. I would just prefer Rashad White.
This is close. I think I lean Rashad White as well. I'm with you though, Joe. I think both of these backs can find success, and they're both relatively startable. But I'm going to lean Rashad White here as well. And guys, I see a ton of questions. Oh, sorry. What's up, JayWall?
I was just going to say, I think I'm going to change my answer to Rashad White. I just heard an analyst. They're talking about, and I agree with them. They're probably going to save Fournette for the playoffs. So I think I'm going to roll one of my favorite. He's super accurate on Fantasy Pros, number 2 this past week. So in ranking.
Listen, here's the thing.
You have to trust that.
There is a conspiracy.
There is a conspiracy. I was actually tied for first. Okay, let's not get the word out there. But the gentleman that was given the gold medal on Twitter, the little gold, is better on the season than me. So I think that's the tiebreaker. However, I beat him on defense and kicker, which isn't normally counted. So I think I should actually be number 1. Thank you.
Suck it.
Yeah. No, he's super nice. He's super nice. We chatted through the Twitter. We had never networked before, so we had a nice little conversation. Super nice guy.
We got Christian in here. And before we answer your question, Christian, I want to remind everybody here, we got about 8 minutes left. We're going to try to answer as many of these questions as possible, but surely we're going to miss some of them. I'm going to throw a link to our Discord in the chat. If you have questions that we do not get to, head on over to our Discord. There's a whole channel dedicated to fantasy questions, and we'll get in there and try to answer as many as possible before kickoff as well. So we're going to keep answering for the next 8 minutes, but if we don't get to yours, hop in the Discord, ask them over there. Christian McKenna wanted to know Lawrence or Watson at QB with Hurts out. JayWall, which way you rolling here?
I am pretty confidently going with T-Law here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Pretty confidently T-Law. Joey, you agreeing?
I would rather start Jalen Hurts than Deshaun Watson this week. I know Jalen Hurts is not even going to play. That's how much I do not want to start anyone in this Cleveland New Orleans game. I'm really trying to get this message out there. Trevor Lawrence, easy. It's an easy Trevor Lawrence for me.
We got an easy Trevor Lawrence, triple Trevor Lawrence here. Charles with a real question here. Fields or Brady this week? Brady's got the good matchup. Fields has the bad weather, but Fields can also just run for 120 yards without even blinking. Joey, which way you rolling?
Justin Fields.
I'm with you. It's Justin Fields for me as well. JayWall, you rolling Justin Fields or you rolling Brady?
Okay. Justin Fields, I feel like makes sense. But because of the weather and the Buffalo defense being so good, I think they're literally just going to game plan around Justin Fields running the ball. So for that reason, I'm going to take Brady. But if you go Fields, I love the upside there.
I've like had the mental switch in my brain where Fields, I don't care if the defense is good. Know what I mean? Like I've gotten to that point now, and that may be wrong. Maybe I get proven wrong this weekend, but like what he's done out there, when I'm watching him run, I don't care how good the Buffalo defense is. I'm not sure you can stop that man scrambling out there. He just gets loose. We'll see though. He's got some Michael Vick-esque runs in him. I haven't seen anyone do stuff that he's doing since Vick. And it's really exciting. Dame said need to fill a wide receiver and flex spot. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Zonovan Knight, and Zach Moss. Who do I roll with? JayWall, one wide receiver, one flex. Who you plugging into this lineup?
I think I'm going those first two, McLaurin and Mike Evans. Even though, I'm just going to go with those two. I'm not going to overthink this.
Joey, what about you? Are you rolling with those two, or are you plugging someone else in?
I really want to say Mike and Knight because it rhymes, but we're not here to rhyme. We're here to help people win their championships. So it's going to be Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans for me.
It's going to be Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans for me. Yeah, we're here to rhyme later. Around 11 p.m., we're here to rhyme.
Yeah.
So come back and hang out with us then. Gavin in here said start two running backs in PPR, Swift, ETN, and Monty. So one of them needs to hit the bench. It's going to be Swift hitting the bench for me in this one. What about you, JayWall?
Agreed.
Joey, what you got?
Yep.
We got triple Swift. Keebs said, hey, guys, would you start the Jets defense or the Tampa Bay defense? Quinnen Williams is playing tonight for the Jets, and the weather looks bad. But with McSorley starting for the Cards, I don't know what way to go here. That is a tough question. JayWall, where would you be rolling? Tampa Bay D or the Jets D?
I think I am gonna go with the Tampa Bay D here. I just think too. Yes, the weather is gonna stink for tonight's game, but also T-Law has been balling. What was it? The past 6 games, 14 touchdowns, 1 pick. So they haven't really been coughing up the ball much. They haven't really been getting or giving many turnovers. So Jets D is nasty, but I'm still going to go Tampa Bay D here.
Joey, you agreeing?
Tampa Bay D.
Oh, yeah. Give me that Tampa Bay D. I'm going that way as well. Jason, down 8 going against the 1 seed. PPR pick 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. So let's start with that quarterback position. Burrow or Fields? Give me Fields. I'm sticking with it. Joey, what about you?
Yeah, it's gonna be Fields. I got Burrow right behind him. Tua separating Fields and Burrow at this point. It's really close between them, but I'll go Fields for the quarterback.
What about you, JayWall?
I'm going Burrow because it looks like he has Jamar Chase. I'm taking that stack.
I'm glad someone went Burrow. I think like they're close enough that it would have been irresponsible to have a triple Fields on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then at wide receiver, we've got Waddle, Chase, and CeeDee Lamb. So need to start 2 of those. JayWall, you're taking that Chase stack, it sounds like?
And Waddle, yeah. I'm taking those 2 over CeeDee Lamb.
Same here. We are agreeing on wide receivers. Joey, sounds like you agree.
We fully agree on wide receivers, yeah.
And then at running back, CMC, Kenneth Walker, Jerick McKinnon, and Latavius Murray.
Oh,
I think this is where my flex comes from.
Wow.
I think give me those first 3 running backs, CMC, Walker, and McKinnon. What are you doing, JayWall?
I'm going CMC, Walker. Oh, man.
And then at flex, you're doing CeeDee Lamb or Jerick McKinnon?
I think flex, I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb. Because if they're going to win, they're going to need a huge game from him.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was close between those 2. What about you, Joey?
No, I'm going McKinnon. No,
number 1 running back over the past couple weeks.
I'm going McKinnon.
My flex is also going to come from here. I'm actually going to bench Kenneth Walker. He's questionable. I don't necessarily. And then DJ Dallas is up and running. They might actually kind of temper Walker off from what I've heard. It's going to be CMC McKinnon, and I like the matchup for Latavius Murray this week. So I don't know how helpful we were. I know we got CMC for you, and I think that we all agree on McKinnon as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, just whoever's wearing the nicer hat, go with that person.
I got a black on black Braves hat, so I don't know, pretty sleek. It is no beanie, and I could use a beanie. It is freaking cold here out of nowhere.
I'm wearing a coffee mug.
Nixon said full PPR, Darren Waller or Evan Ingram. Joey, which way you rolling here, Darren Waller or Evan Ingram?
Hey, Darren Waller looked good last week. Surprise, surprise! Someone coming back from an injury, looking great. Who does Vegas have?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, but Carr is throwing the ball to him. I'll still go Darren Waller.
I'm going Darren Waller as well here. What about you, JayWall?
I'm going Evan Ingram. So
Evan Ingram. Can't get away from him. Mr. 16 targets, Mr. number 1 PPR tight end, Evan Ingram.
Listen, I picked up Darren Waller in Scott Fishbowl a week before he came back from the IR, and I am loving it. But I'm still going to go with Ingram. So I am rooting for Waller. I'm a big Waller fan end of the year, but I'm going Ingram.
There's a Zonovan Knight update.
Let's hear it.
Oh, from questionable to healthy. It's a good update.
That's a beautiful
We don't get
update.
those often.
We never get those. That's incredible. Guys, everybody who joined us, I know we have more questions in here, but we have reached the end of office hours for today. I threw that link in the chat to our Discord. I'm going to throw it in there one more time. If we have not gotten to your question, head on over to our Discord in the fantasy question section and throw them in that chat. And we would be more than happy to answer any and every question that you throw our way over there. And guys, next week, we're going to be back for one more week of office hours for championship week with special guest Pat Fitzmaurice. So if you love some Pat Fitzmaurice like we do, make sure you come on back, hang out with us, get your questions answered by us and him on next Tuesday, the last fantasy football office hours of the 2022 NFL season.
JayWall, you killed it.
Hey, thanks. So I just want to plug myself. JayWall, I'm a producer of Front Yard Fantasy, so make sure and go check out their content. Really good stuff.
That's incredible. And guys, if you're not following JayWall on Twitter, fix that right now. He's on Twitter at JayWall_FF. We appreciate all of you coming in and hanging out with us today until bright and early tomorrow morning when myself, John Luke Garofalo, and Andrew Cooper will be live. We are out of here through the power of friendship and touching each other's fingers. That's it for Front Yard Fantasy. Enjoy your rainy Jags-Jets games, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Adios, everyone.
Go win the semis, everybody.